Update. Would I be the a-hole for not having my cancer-stricken ex-husband stay with me through his treatment? Original post. For most of our marriage, my ex-husband 39 male and I 37 female had a very happy relationship. We had good jobs, decent money, 2 kids, and loved each other. Then he got diagnosed with a rare form of cancer, and we went through years of painful treatments and recovery together. We moved to a small house to be close to the research center where he underwent treatment. His parents paid half of the down payment on the house. The other half was from our savings and investments. In the divorce, he gave me the house and took all of his medical debt. We have been divorced a year, but now his cancer has come back and he needs treatment again at the same research hospital. He wants to stay in what is now my house while undergoing treatment, and his parents expected me to house him and look after him because he was generous in letting me have the house without taking his rightful share from the equity. When we were married and he was undergoing treatment, it was new stuff that was expensive and also very physically draining on him. We were lucky that both our jobs were supportive and flexible, but with his health issues, little kids, and expenses, we had to downgrade our lifestyle a lot. That, plus the physical changes in his body, made him very depressed, and whenever he felt a bit better, he'd go stay in his hometown. It's a small town where most of his family and a lot of his childhood friends live. I was doing all the caretaking of him, while also dealing with the insurance complications. I was also managing the kids, the entire household in my full-time job. We had help from friends and neighbors, but it was very hard. I wasn't happy about him spending his healthy days away from us, but thinking it was good for his mental health, I didn't feel like I could object. While he was staying there, he had reconnected with his high school girlfriend, and a couple years ago, he admitted to me that he was sleeping with her, and I filed for divorce. He had fully recovered from his cancer by then. There are other aspects around the cheating that left me very heartbroken and feeling betrayed, and him giving me the house and taking all the debt was an apology of a sort. But now his parents feel that I owe him for getting the house and should let him stay there for the 2 to 3 months his treatment is at the facility. I do want him to be well, and I don't want my kids to lose a loving father, but I can't deal with having him around me, especially not if I end up being his nurse and caretaker again, as I am still very bitter about how our marriage ended. However, a lot of people close to me are telling me that I should support him for the sake of my kids. Would I be the a-hole if I say I can't do that? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. Let his girlfriend take care of him. Fiancé. They announced their engagement the day the divorce was finalized. That still hurts so much. It's hard to feel sorry for someone who is selfish even though it's cancer. A sick a-hole is still an a-hole. OP is definitely not the a-hole. The side piece can carry the burden of caring for him. The in-laws can take a running jump. Not the a-hole. Even without the cheating and whatnot, caretaking is a full-time job. It is very taxing emotionally, mentally, and physically. You're not his wife anymore. You have no obligation to do this. The last time I did it out of love, I can just not do it now. It was very difficult. The big upside to me in getting divorced was not having to deal with that anymore. As difficult as it is to take care of a sick person, dealing with the insurance bureaucracy and keeping track of all the medical contacts and treatment details is a pretty big logistical nightmare. Why isn't her infectious laugh curing things now? I'd ask his parents if they expect you to let him and his new wife live at your place. We divorced. There's a new woman who is supposed to be taking on the nurse and a purse role that I happily relinquished. Not a-hole. And for anyone saying you owe him, you paid your debt in full by taking care of him, and then by not raking him over the coals in the divorce when he cheated. You owe him nothing. Now for the update. The Sunday after I made a post to AITA, my ex-in-laws picked up the kids for a zoo trip. They sometimes come to pick them up to entertain them, and so I thought nothing of it. A few hours later, a very teary-eyed and contrite mother-in-law dropped off 2 bawling kids with me. She told them their dad is sick and will die if he doesn't stay with us and go to the hospital. We hadn't had a talk with the kids yet about the diagnosis, and she dropped it on them that he is dying from cancer. He is not dying. It's a painful treatment, but he'll recover. I was so furious I was raging. I called the ex and tore him a new one. He was shocked too, and we together exploded at his mom. She broke down and cried, begging me to not take away her grandkids from her, as if I'd trust her after this. X and I together talked to the kids with him on video and assured them that yes, he is sick, but he'll be fine. That he just needs to go to the hospital, and they'll make him better like the last time he was sick. The kids settled after that, But my oldest has been at me crying and begging to make dad come live with us. I promised them I'd talk to their dad and figure out what's the best thing to do. I swallowed a lot of bile to talk to him about why he was doing this. We had a pretty long and detailed discussion. The bottom line is that he's broke. He still has a decent job, but his credit is ruined. He has a lot of debt, and he stupidly got the cheapest insurance that barely covers anything. Fiancé is no help either, as she's worse off financially. So he needs a place to stay as he can't afford this otherwise. His parents are funding some of his medical payments and are already stretched. He was financially all right when we broke up, so I have no idea what happened in such a short time. Anyway, X and his girlfriend moved into my daughter's room. My daughter happily gave it up to her dad and is sharing her little brother's room. Both kids are over the moon happy to have their dad in their home. My daughter keeps checking on him every few minutes to make sure he's still okay. Mother-in-law traumatized my kid, and I'll never forgive that woman for this. I let the girlfriend move in with him because I was too angry to care about who came to look after him as long as it wasn't me. I didn't know how I could bear having her in my home, but it appears to be more misery for her than me, and that strangely makes it more tolerable for me. She's teary-eyed and crying all the time. It's only been 3 days, but I am so annoyed I want to shake her and tell her to pull it together. The current treatment plan is for 3 months and I am counting down the days. I am thankful for the many people who gave me great advice in my last post. I wasn't expecting things to go this way, but they played me by manipulating my kids. I'll slowly pull myself and the kids away and move, but for now, I have to deal with this for my kids' sake. Update 2. I was trying to make this update more than a week ago. So to add to that, X's treatment is coming along nicely. The tumors that grew again are much smaller than before, and the new stuff that they're giving him is more directed to so he's not having as many bad symptoms as he had last time. I had promised myself I would do nothing to help, and I stayed away from both X and his fiancée. But I did end up helping him deal with insurance. His fiancée has the personality of a wet noodle and cries all the time, and it was easier for me to do it than deal with her struggling. X is polite enough to me, but his personality has changed. He's a different person and not very nice towards his fiancée. I didn't expect to, but I feel sorry for her. Oh no, I am so sorry you're in this situation. He isn't very nice to her because the honeymoon period is over. Life got real with his sickness, and he's comparing his life that was comfortable, with a loving wife who was his rock, his loving children and medical insurance, versus having to beg your ex-wife to house you and your broke girlfriend. His life sucks now, and he blames the girlfriend rather than his actions. You are in this situation now, but please, 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 take advantage to show him what he lost. Not to get him back, you can definitely do better, but my petty side wants out because of the situation you have been forced into. Petty recommendations that won't hurt your kids. 1. Cook his absolute favorite, most delicious smelling dinner. Don't cook them any. 2. If his birthday or Father's Day whilst he's with you, go to town to get the kids to celebrate him. His favorite thing, everything from the time he was living with you. Then give him your most special home-cooked meal or baked goods for dinner. The kids enjoy spoiling their dad, and he gets a reminder of what he lost. 3. Ask if the girlfriend can look after the kids for day your ex doesn't have treatment. Then go out on a date looking $1,000,000. If you don't date, they don't need to know that. Just go out with girlfriends. If you do date, don't come home that night. 4. Keep the house perfect. Warm, welcoming, smelling great. Maybe decorate a room or two whilst he is there. Remind him of the home he left. 5. If you can afford a holiday with the kids, leave some printouts of holiday info you plan to book in the communal areas. Plan a fun family holiday that he isn't invited to anymore. 6. If he looks unwell, just keep asking him if you would like me to get girlfriend for you. You look like you could use some help. Let me get girlfriend to help you. Don't think the level of care he got from you will compare to the care crying girlfriend provides. And overall, remain classy, which frankly I think is your standard behavior mode. When your kids work out he cheated and hurt you, because as they get older, the time frame of the relationship will naturally raise questions. They will remember that you took him and his affair partner in when he was sick, and you did so for them. Just please do not under any circumstances care for him. If he is really bad, take the kids and go stay at your family house. Don't let him drag you back into the darkest years of your life. I've done number 3 2 times already. I haven't dated yet since the divorce. I want to, but online dating scares me and my social life involves around my kids. I am pretending to have plans, just so I am dressed and out and feel good about myself. I didn't leave the kids with them though. I managed to arrange a sleepover for kids with their friends on those nights. I have been amazed by how much love and support my kids and I are receiving from our neighbors and friends. I told a few close people what's going on, and I suppose most people now know. I have received a lot of offers to help. People can be kind. We got invited to a camping trip on Easter weekend and I'm taking kids to that. Ex-mother-in-law was making noises about having the kids over, but I've shut that down. I would never trust ex-mother-in-law with the kids ever. Like never again. And I have a hard talk with the kids about manipulation, because that is exactly what she did. Weaponized the kids and their love for their dad to get what she wanted. Yes, my blood still boils about that. I never talk bad about ex to kids, but I talk to them about what their grandmother did was wrong, and they understand that to some extent. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister-in-law I don't need her parenting advice, as she clearly doesn't know what she's doing? I, 36 female, have a beautiful baby boy, 10 months old, who was christened last Saturday. My twinetous wife, 41 female, flew in for the christening with my nieces, 7 and 5 female. They live in another state, and I paid for their flights because they live with a modest income and she is a stay-at-home mom. The day of the christening when they arrived, my son was crying, and we tried his usual self-soothing techniques, but he wouldn't stop. My sister-in-law said we should just give him his pacifier. I told her we don't use pacifiers and he's never tried one. Over the next few days, it was a similar rodeo. Baby cry and we would use self-soothing techniques, and sister-in-law would mention how pacifiers would soothe him. Well, after the christening, upon her suggestion once again to give my crying son a pacifier, I snapped. And in a room full of friends and family, I said, I would never take parenting advice from a 41-year-old woman that still lives on her parents' property. Cannot hold down a job so she's a stay-at-home mom, that my retired parents have to send money every month to help them make ends meet. And his 5-year-old still uses a pacifier to soothe herself and proudly shows them off. A 5-year-old whose mouth is so jagged and ruined that she and my brother will probably have to ask me and my husband for money for orthodontics care because they can't afford it. That she's a prime example of what not to do in raising kids. Well, obviously the room was silent, and she ran off crying and she and my brother left. They only came back that evening, but neither she nor my brother said anything to me, and they left the next day to the airport. My brother said I have to apologize, and it was unfair for me to throw their finances in their faces. While I apologized for that, said I would not apologize for telling her the fact about my niece's situation. And I told him that on multiple occasions both I and my husband, a pediatrician, have warned them about the negative effects of a pacifier on a child. My brother told me to mind my own business, and I said I gladly would, as long as his wife minded hers. Now my parents are telling me to apologize again. Naturally, my friends are on my side. So, internet, am I the a-hole? Edit. 1. To those saying I'm a bad parent because my son is constantly crying, he's teething. And we have various self-soothing techniques we use, including self-soothing music, his Sophie, his soothing support stuffy, etc. 2. On multiple occasions, my husband did tell my brother and sister-in-law about the negative effects of pacifiers on a 5-year-old because they ask, because they are concerned. He's a pediatrician. They just failed to implement this medical advice. 3. I do not have a temper. I was very stressed. However, I will be reaching out to sister-in-law in a few days to speak with her directly and apologize for my hurtful outburst. 4. The comments about the finances. Yes, I am upset because my brother is upset about their finances and wants her to get a job to help burden the load. His words. He is in grad school after a layoff to get a better opportunity for his family, and he wishes she would help. She stopped working 6 months into her first pregnancy and never went back. Now for the comments. You could have said, thank you for your suggestion, but we choose not to use pacifiers. And I expect you to respect our parenting choices even if you make other choices. Instead, you dropped a nuclear bomb, destroying this woman's entire life. You're the a-hole. Frankly, no apology is ever going to repair that kind of contemptuous string of insults. If you intended to sever that relationship, mission accomplished. OP, you used a nuclear bomb to kill a fly. You're the a-hole. Yeah. Giant, you're the a-hole. Holy smokes, you went nuclear. There was a better way to handle that undoubtedly. I googled all the pacifier stuff, and I get your concerns. But yeah, still doesn't excuse your outburst. Wow. I know. I was just so stressed with the christening, and her comments were just so annoying and constant. I snapped and I did go nuclear. I feel a bit bad for embarrassing her and myself. Just a bit? I just reread what you said to her. And man, wow. I can't believe you said all that. That was so out of bounds in every way. I don't know what you can do to ever repair that relationship. An apology isn't going to fix this. If I was her, I'd never speak to you again. And frankly, wish you did. I want to see your side here, but geez. You're the a-hole. Everyone has their own parenting styles. Theirs might not be for you, but you went in so hard and so deep. Almost as if this isn't about a pacifier at all. It's not. I'm annoyed she doesn't get a job and help my brother contribute to the household. It's unfair for my retired parents, and me on occasion to have to send them money when she refuses to work, and then gives me parenting suggestions? Yeah, no. So in other words, you just don't like her. There are many stay-at-home parents who contribute in other ways than monetarily, and parents that are in poverty. That doesn't make them bad parents. You're the a-hole majorly. I do like her, but I don't like her expensive taste, like Montessori and private school that she and my brother can't afford, but she insists on, and we have to fund it. My parents, hers, etc. This isn't about poverty, it's about being too lazy to contribute to wanting things for your kids that you can't afford, and not working and expecting money to be given to you when you ask. Stop funding their lifestyle. It makes you the problem for enabling their behavior. I don't give my kids pacifiers either, and I raise 4. I believe they get addicted and it's hard to get them off, and it can be detrimental to the teeth. But you definitely went too far because you have been enabling her behavior as well. Am I the a-hole for putting my brother on speaker and letting his fiancé hear about what he's been asking me to do? Context. I'm male 23 and what people call tech savvy. I know like a bunch of stuff about computer programming and mobile software, and yes, I even got the right looks to match my skills. Lol. But seriously, I consider myself good since plenty of people come to me for help. For free, of course. So lately, my brother, male 27, has been asking me to install a tracking app on his fiancé's iPhone. Like, he had brought the phone to me twice, and I refused after he tried to pressure me to do it. He even offered money, but I refused because I felt it was kinda wrong. And also, I only help out people who only want to be helped, and like, don't have bad intentions. I refused because his fiancé doesn't deserve this. I thought he had dropped it after I told him that if he asked me again, then I'd tell her. Well, a couple of days ago, he calls me up while I was at my parents' home. His fiancé happened to be there too. I answered the phone and he brings up the tracking app again. I put him on speaker and be like, "Sorry, come again?" He says, "It's about the tracking app I want on fiancé's phone. I need you to do it tonight when I stop by with her phone." He proceeds to tell how he could no longer lie about her phone missing when he hides it and brings it to me. Basically telling me this was the last chance he's got to put the app there. My parents go silent, but his fiancé looked shocked, then goes off on him and then he hangs up. She grabs her purse and rushes out. My parents lash out at me asking what the heck I had done. I tell them he refused to get off my back after I warned him. They cuss at me saying I just caused a huge problem between my brother and his fiancé, and stuff like that. I grab my stuff and leave shortly. Later, my brother was calling nonstop, and when I gave no response, he sent a nasty text calling me names and stuff, and saying that I might have just compromised his entire relationship. I haven't seen nor heard from my family nor him since then. I feel terrible, not gonna lie, and like I really messed up by putting a private convo on speaker. So guys, am I the a-hole? Note that this started right after his fiancé got a new job recently. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Technically, he compromised his entire relationship. And you warned him. Normally, I might say someone else has sucked for interfering in the relationship, but absolutely not when it comes to such deceitful or even potentially illegal stuff. Not an a-hole. Yeah, after the first time, dude could have straight up went to the fiancé and told her and been not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. This is what I came here to say. He's trying to blame Opie as if he's not the one who started the whole thing. Playing the victim when he did it to himself. Opie specifically said to tell the fiancé. It's not Opie's fault his brother didn't believe him. Not only are you not the a-hole, you did not do something that you knew would be the wrong thing to do, even while facing pressure from your family to do it. That's really difficult. You saw a red flag and made sure a woman in a potentially vulnerable situation saw it too. By letting her hear the words from his mouth, Rather than just letting her know what he was asking of you, you were able to sidestep the whole "who are you going to believe" question that might have arisen. You did good here, kid. To add from Harry Potter, it takes a great deal of bravery to stand up to our enemies, but just as much to stand up to our friends. I therefore award 10 points to OP. What you did wasn't easy. Bravo. Not today, Hull. I'd say it's even harder to stand up to the peer pressure of friends and family. OP should be proud of his backbone. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to take down my daughter's graduation photo and replace it with my husband's graduation photo? My daughter 18 graduated high school, and I hung a photo of her graduation party on the living room wall. She wants to go to a community college and will live with me and her stepdad while doing that. My husband recently earned his master's degree, and yesterday he showed me his graduation photo that he framed and prepared to hang. I asked where we were gonna hang it, and he said the living room. I said, great, right next to Amy's graduation photo then. He said not next to it, but instead of it. I was puzzled. I asked why, and he said that he didn't feel it was right having his graduation photo, a master's degree, be hung next to a high school graduation photo, a high school degree. He said that both photos have a different weight and value, and suggested I take my daughter's photo down and hang his instead. I was fuming because he refused to let her photo be hung anywhere near his, and by that he has claimed the entire wall. I refused and said this photo has been here for months, and my daughter deserves to have it on display for encouragement. He got upset and said that I was making it a big deal, and could instead just use the hallway hall or something, but I refused. We had an argument about it, and he kept insisting on having her graduation photo be taken down and not be hung on the same wall as his due to difference in degree, value, and weight. And also, he thought that a high school photo isn't hang-on wall worthy and called me inconsiderate of his feelings. He says it's disrespectful to him and his efforts, and said that I am choosing this hill to die on was ridiculous. Am I the a-hole for choosing this hill to die on? Not the a-hole. I'd hang it right over the toilet where his attitude belongs. Can you imagine the next time he sits down to take a dump and it's hanging on the back of the toilet door? That's what he gets for crapping in OP's daughter's achievement. Seriously? What kind of grown man with a master's degree is threatened by kids' high school graduation? The question OP needs to be asking is, why does my husband see my teenage daughter as competition? This is not healthy. Wow, has his masculinity always been this fragile? Not the a-hole. He has his moments, but this is certainly strange. Honestly, it sounds like a power move being made against your daughter, starting the exact moment she hits perceived adulthood and therefore independence. Is he against her staying with y'all during community college and potentially looking for ways to make her feel unwelcome? The one-time dad's temper wasn't anywhere near his norm. We also called it strange repeatedly. It was for a reason other than the norm as well. You can tell him I said this was my master's degree if he gets mad, received while also pregnant with hyperemesis and working. I only mention this since it's apparently a pissing match about weight and value or whatever. Alternatively, you can argue the weight and value of raising a good human to adulthood and through basic public education is heavier than a master's. The inherent value of my daughter is why my comment that's independent, says my degree shares space with school photos from kindergarten. Agreed, it had something to do with her age. When I started becoming independent in my own person, and admittedly a lot like my dad, is when my stepdad stopped liking me and started to bully and isolate me from my mom. Not an a-hole. This could have been a lovely family achievement wall and your husband ruined it by being an a-hole. You're right, and this was my suggestion as well. I have a feeling that now that your daughter is 18, he wants all of the attention that she got because she's not his real daughter. And I'm betting on some resentment. And she's 18 now, so no more kid stuff to placate a child. As if she's no longer your daughter but some rando adult who doesn't need mom's love. Next story. Am I the a-hole for wanting to be away from my twin sister? So I, 17 female, have two older brothers, 19 and 21, and a twin sister. I should mention that my family is pretty affluent. Ever since I remember, my parents encouraged me and my twin to compete with each other while they always favored her over me. She always had their support, and I was expected to be considerate. When I succeed on something more than she does, they ask me to give it up. But they never ask this from her. I do love her and my parents, even though I feel like I've been treated unfairly. Both of us aspired to be doctors for a long time. I studied really hard for it for a long time. So did she. This year, we graduated and both of us applied for the same programs at the same universities. The process here is quite different than it is in the US, as we can start med school right after high school if we get accepted. She wants to go to the same university as I do, and so does my parents. I, on the other hand, feel like going on my own and have a separate life from my sister. I love her so much, but we've been together our entire lives. She's an introvert while I'm an extrovert, so she followed me around most of the time. I always included her and made sure she's happy, but it's been like this our entire lives, and I'm honestly tired. Not to mention that if we go to the same place, I would be expected to study with her and help her get high grades, and won't be able to study on my own and focus on my success. And my parents will be mad if I succeed more than her. It's been like this for the past 12 years, which will eventually hurt me. I just want to finally be a person of my own. This is where I might be the a-hole. I got accepted to 4 different universities while she got into 2. I waited for her to decide where she wants to go and then made my decision. Like I said, different place. Then she changed her mind and said she wants to go to her second option, the one I chose. I said that is not a problem, and I will go to a different place, the one she didn't get into. My sister got really offended and my parents are furious, even though I explained myself politely and said that I love her but wanted to get a fresh start where nobody knows me. They demanded that I will go to the same place as my sister, or else they won't pay for my degree. Then I said whatever and that I'll be fine on my own and left to my grandparents. When they came to talk to me, they just kept on saying how wrong and entitled I am. I really had enough, so I told them I hate them for treating me like this. Now I'm refusing to talk to them and ignoring their calls. My brothers and grandparents are on my side, but everyone else is telling me I'm an a-hole. So am I? Now for the comments. Not an a-hole. You have the right to choose what is best for you. You have a twin. That doesn't need to define you. If you feel like you need some time apart, then that is what you need. No one can blame you for what you feel. Your feelings are yours and yours alone. I would talk to your family though. Sit down at a table and have a, if possible, relaxed conversation. Tell them how you feel. Don't go screaming and say, "Hate you, you always put me up against my twin." Say instead that you feel like there has been favoritism, that you feel like it has been a constant battle. But most of all, you need time and space to be you. Just you. Not you and your twin. You are your own person. Tell your sister how much you love her and your parents too, but this is for yourself. Make sure that they listen. It might be hard, you might cry, but don't scream or shout. Tell them you love them a lot. Try it after dinner, when everyone has eaten and everyone is in a good mood. How they are going to react, that we don't know. But remember, you are in charge of your own reaction, but you cannot control theirs. Good luck. This sounds a lot like what Opie has already tried. From my understanding, and I might be wrong, she did it when she was angry and upset. Handling tough conversations when you are in a state of anger will make the point less obvious and redirect the conversations to the "I hate you" instead of the real facts. I actually explained it to them when we first applied to universities. They insisted that we'll try to get into the same place, and I agreed, but told them that while I'm sort of okay with this, I want to be on my own and have a chance to focus on myself. I believe I was polite. And I thought they understood me since they said that we'll discuss it later, but did not mention it until we got the answers. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for banning my sister-in-law's son from my house until she finds out what's wrong with him? For context, my 33 female husband and I host all our family gatherings. We have a 5-year-old daughter. The story also concerns my brother, 37 male, and his girlfriend Stacy, 37 female. Stacy has a son, George, 7, from a previous relationship. George has severe behavioral problems that became evident from the first time we met him. He's hyperactive, destructive, belligerent, nasty, and his mother can't manage him. Whenever his mother brings him to family events, we are all on high alert. He has to be watched constantly, especially around any other children and animals. We have not had an event with him present where at least one thing hasn't ended up broken. He will break plates, throw food, throw tantrums, screaming and swearing and flopping around on the floor, and more. It's exhausting to have him around, and frankly, the kid freaks me out. We all kept out of it because he's not our kid. He's not even my brother's kid, so it's certainly not our place. But our whole family knows there is something not right with him. Earlier this year, the family all visited us at our vacation home, and George was his usual self. The final straw was him using foul language and saying horrible things to my daughter. My husband stepped in, and a crying George played victim to his mother, and this caused an argument between my husband and me, and my brother and Stacy. I told Stacy we had absolutely had enough, and that her child of the corn would not be allowed back in my house until she found out what was wrong with him, and had a plan to manage his behavior going forward. At the time, everyone supported our decision because they all said it was high time Stacy recognized that George's behavior was not normal boys will be boys behaviors. We haven't seen them since the summer. About a week ago, we were all locking in plans for Christmas, which we planned to spend at a ski resort. Stacy texted me to confirm about plans, and I asked her what she had done about George. She said nothing official, but his behavior had been getting better. I told her nothing except some kind of diagnosis from a medical professional and a documented plan to mitigate his behavior would get him back in my house. Stacy has since been complaining to everyone that I'm discriminating against her child, claiming his behavior has improved. She has also accused me of thinking she's a bad mother because she works, and of disliking her and George because he is not my brother's child. None of that is true, but now everyone is saying that I should relent and let them come, on the understanding that she is responsible for any damages and will leave if he acts up. I don't want to bend on this because I don't want a drama-filled Christmas, or to have to be the bad guy and kick them out around the holidays with no other plans. Am I the a-hole? Edit. People were asking about the resort, so to clarify, we own a chalet in the resort, and the whole family will be staying at our chalet over the Christmas holidays. Not the a-hole, but I think requesting a medical diagnosis is a bit much. A behavioral plan is totally in order. The diagnosis doesn't matter so much, but the behavior does. They, if including your brother, has to be able to address his issues, so people feel safe and property isn't destroyed. How will you handle tantrums? How will you handle inappropriate/rude language to others? How will you handle violating rules of physical space? Those are the areas she needs to answer. And if she doesn't have a plan or answer, then no, they can't come. His getting better is BS. Although I agree with most of what you said, gotta respectfully disagree about the diagnosis. A child with a learning disability, ADD, or a severe personality disorder all have to be approached differently. Whether with meds, behavioral therapy, or a combo of both, a diagnosis is required and very important. Sounds like the kid has either been severely spoiled or has a potential personality disorder that needs to be diagnosed. I'm aware PERS disorders are diagnosed at 18 plus. I misspoke as I couldn't find the right terms and got my wires crossed. That aside, Stacy needs to find the source of her child's behavior. Sorry I wasn't clear. I 100% agree the diagnosis is important to the mother and the child, but the rest of the family doesn't need to know what that diagnosis is, just that they have one and are working on treatment. And they have a solid plan for how to handle this child. I'm a parent of a neurodiverse person, and we had tons of support and treatment and plans for situations like this. And a diagnosis at a young age. But in my humble opinion, the label is less important than the treatment plan and behaviors. But of course, you need a diagnosis to get there. Not the a-hole. I personally would cancel on hosting the whole family at a resort this Christmas, since everyone is pushing you to cave to Stacy. Make it a private holiday for you, dear husband, and your daughter. Let your extended family make their own holiday plans and even host George in their homes.